Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Faith Brynels Insights. I'm Faith Brynel, and today we're going to be speaking about a very, very important topic. We're going to be talking about unlocking your potential, growth mindset, and overcoming stress. So, welcome to Faith Brynels Insights. I'm Faith Brynel, and this is the podcast where we explore the journey of personal growth, mindset, and mental well-being. I'm Faith Brynel, as just mentioned, and today we're delving into a topic that is very important for every single person. It's important for both students and professionals, which is talking about unlocking your potential through a growth mindset and overcoming the hurdles that stress throws our way. So let's just talk about that. Let's unpack that. So whether you're at the beginning of your journey or further along, I'm here to share insights, strategies, and resources to help you be your best self. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, or coffee, sit back, and let's explore how we can harness the power of a growth mindset to live more fulfilled and happier lives. So this podcast episode, so to speak, is a podcast episode that is very important to me. It is broken up into several segments, and the first segment really delves into what is a growth mindset, and indeed this is really important, and the term was coined by psychologist Carol Dweck and refers to the belief that our abilities, intelligence and talents can be developed over time through hard work, dedication and learning from challenges. And so this contrasts very starkly with a fixed mindset where people believe that their talents and intelligence are static, that they're born with a certain level of skill and that's that, and that they can't attain to be at they can't attain a high level at all. So, but the reality is, for me, adopting a growth mindset really does change and impacts how we face challenges and therefore setbacks. It helps us to see failures as opportunities for learning as opposed to permanent roadblocks. And so I've decided to structure this podcast episode in a different way. We're asking you, we're kind of planting food for thought and really posing questions for us to answer today as we listen. So I want to ask you all, how often do you catch yourself saying things like, I'm not good at this, or I'll never be able to do that? Now, if that sounds familiar, it's time to challenge those thoughts and reframe them with a growth mindset. And so let's actually unpack that. Let's speak a little bit more about that. So looking at the impact of stress on growth. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, stress. So stress is something that most of us have experienced at one point or another. It's normal. And for some, it's an ongoing challenge. And it goes back to one of the kind of philosophies where it says it's okay not to be okay. And indeed, when I worked with a lot of students through Faith Brynels Insights, speaking about anxiety, speaking about stress, speaking about, their mental health support and where they can get support from, and looking at study skills, we also kind of have to understand and perform an anatomy on each individual person's mind, because how one person processing information is completely different to how another person actually deals with certain issues and processes that same information. And so we have to ask a very principal question. And that question is, how does stress intersect with our ability to grow? How does stress impact it? So I think one thing I really want to kind of pick out today is that stress can make you second guess yourself. It can make you feel paralyzed in terms of the face of opportunities. People always use the term paralyzed with fear. It can stop you from pursuing your goals altogether, because it creates a mental roadblock that says you can't, when in reality you can. And it goes really back to my favorite scripture. As a Christian, I have always been encouraged by my parents to have a favorite scripture, a scripture that encourages me in the face of adversity, encourages me despite different challenges. And that scripture is taken from Philippians 4 verse 13 KJV, and it says, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. And that means that whatever challenges I face, that is the scripture that I go back to. I also go back to another scripture, which is Psalms 91, which reads, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And actually for me, that encourages me. So I always encourage my listeners and those I work with, find something that encourages you. It might be a quote from your role model, it might be a book, it might be whatever it may be. Find that thing, find that thing, that structure, that scripture, that poem, whatever it may be, that gets you back up, that is your catalyst for change. And so, as we said before, it creates that mental roadblock. It's an inner critic that holds you back and makes you question whether you do really have what it takes. And I think And really, one of the reasons that you probably listen to this episode is how can we do that? So one of the ways that we can begin to manage stress is by building a toolkit of mental strategies. So what does this mean, Faith Brynels? Well, this could include, for some people, it includes deep breathing exercises. I know I was talking to a therapist the other day. I was networking and she was talking about how, people use tapping techniques and stuff like that, and there's mindfulness, or even something of turning negative thoughts into more positive growth-focused affirmations. And indeed, I actually work with a company called Learn with Lalonia that focuses on cultural diversity and focuses on, from a young age, actually encouraging children to have positive affirmations. And so again, what we also do, for those who have purchased our resources, you'll notice that every single one of our resources that I've created actually has a positive affirmation on the front cover, and also has an empowering blurb to keep people going and to explain why I decided to choose those particular affirmations and where in life that speaks to and what situations that can be beneficial for. So the key is, there are studies that actually say that, and it's something that my dad, Gil Palmer, always talks about. He said habits are formed within 21 days. And so really the key here in terms of looking at stress is consistency. It's creating habits that help you to manage stress before it becomes overwhelming. It's helping you to kind of manage things before you become burnt out. It helps you to manage things. People journal, write things down to articulate themselves, to articulate what they're feeling. It's about getting help and support. For example, if you're in a student setting and you're at university, it's about going to your wellbeing officers, going to those who are in those positions to support you, going to mental health charities. And indeed, we heard from Dr. Danielle Gray, who's a psychologist, and she was speaking about what they offer at the Purple House clinics, which is private, but the NHS as well also does offer support in terms of mental health. And so looking at the next segment, which is equally as important. Now, here we are getting to the practicalities. Here we are now getting down to the nitty-gritty. And I know we're literally doing this under 7 minutes, so things have been quite swift, but it's about time to reflect now and really build on the how. How can we get this done? What can we do? What can we change? So this segment is called Strategies for Developing a Growth Mindset and Overcoming Stress. So let's break it down into practical steps. First of all, how do you develop a growth mindset, especially when stress is in the picture? So here are some strategies that have not just worked for me, but have also worked for other people who I've worked with. So one of the first ones is embrace challenges. So a key part of the growth mindset is actually viewing challenges as an opportunity to grow. So for example, if something feels difficult, remind yourself that it's a chance to learn something new. And I always say that you cannot increase your confidence unless you step out of your comfort zone. And I found that actually when I go and network, when I do things that hitherto I might not have tried, I am building my confidence, I'm embracing challenges, because every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. Number 2, focus on effort, not outcome. And I think this is a really important one, because even myself as a student as well, sometimes we're so fixated on achieving a perfect result that we're not actually celebrating the effort we're putting in. For example, if we want to be riding a bike and we haven't ridden a bike before and we're able to kind of stay on the bike longer without falling off, you might kick yourself, or not literally, but you might metaphorically bring yourself down mentally and say to yourself, I'm not there yet, but think about the effort you've put in to even get onto that bike and start learning a new skill. And so the truth is, really, growth comes from the process, not the product. Focus on what you're learning along the way. And it goes back to a quote that Booker T. Washington, one of America's first black educators, spoke about. And he said that success is not about the success, it's about the obstacles I've overcome to get to that success. And that's one of the principal quotes, again, that I think about, and something that is really etched and kind of stuck in my brain, so to speak. And so number 3 is reframe failures. So this one is a huge one, because when things don't go the way you plan, and that's life, instead of thinking that you failed, think, what can I learn from this? Think about what can I learn from this? What's going to happen now? Think about the opportunities you have to get back up again and start again. And so really every experience, whether it's a success or a setback, holds valuable lessons. Number 4, develop self-compassion. Now, I think this is a really interesting one because people always encourage us to be compassionate to other people's situations, which is important, but you also have to be kind to yourself. And again, a lot of the work we do through FBI is actually on our social media platforms. It starts there. It's about putting out quotations, putting out key statistics, putting out encouragements to our followers, just to let them know it's okay not to be okay. Be bold, be brave, be strong, which is one that the Lord gave me. Be kind to yourself and recognize that it's okay to have tough moments, but don't let them define your journey. This is something, as you can see, I'm really passionate about, because when we're thinking about that, self-compassion is about giving yourself grace, give yourself a second chance, especially when things feel overwhelming. This one kind of ties into kind of the notion of smart goal setting. So set small but achievable goals. So people always say, short but effective, or short but sweet, etc. And it's the same, simple but effective rather, short and sweet. And it's the same kind of concept here. So overcoming stress and growing through a mindset shift can feel daunting, okay? It's not always going to be, roses, but you will find ways to overcome those challenges. So break it down, set small, achievable goals that can and will act as stepping stones towards your bigger ambitions and towards your bigger dreams and goals. Each win, no matter how small, boosts your confidence and keeps you moving forward. And this is really important. Don't set overwhelming goals. For example, if you have never ridden a bike, don't tell yourself to enter in the Tour de France, because obviously you're just starting out, but eventually you will be able to actually make it to the Tour de France, and you might even do pretty well and represent Great Britain. But you have to give yourself an opportunity to actually build and develop as well in your personal skill sets. So that's just one example. And as I said, this is a notion, it's an idea, it's a concept that is widely applicable to different sectors. And number 6 is practice the Pomodoro technique. And I'm smiling now because when I tutor through Logos West Midlands CIC and I engage with students and I talk to them and when I do talks at colleges and schools and universities, I actually talk about the Pomodoro technique. And indeed, there's one student I'm actually tutoring where we actually focus primarily on this technique. So this technique was actually created by Francesco Carrillo, and actually this technique is such an important technique that everyone should really be aware of. And it's really for those who struggle to with focus due to stress, try the Pomodoro technique. So what you do, you work for 25 minutes and take a 5 to 10 minute break, and you do that 4 times. And after the 4th time, you have a longer 10 to 20 minute break. Now, what this does, this can help manage overwhelmed people and improve productivity without the pressure of long study sessions, because, as I said, everybody is different. Sometimes you can study for an hour and you feel energized and you're ready, but for myself, I prefer to use the Pomodoro technique because that is a verified skill for study or study skill, and that actually helps you in terms of confidence as well. So let's just actually talk about just some of the benefits of the Pomodoro method as well. I just want to actually just pull that up, some of the benefits of the Pomodoro technique. I want to just say that it has and I'll give you, so the Pomodoro technique, I just want to put up my notes here. So improve focus. It helps you to focus because, as we said, it breaks work into smaller, more manageable chunks. Reduce distractions. What this actually can do is help you manage distractions and control your time. Increase accountability because you're tracking work between your sessions, which can help you be more accountable. Better planning. Planning prevents poor performance, as my dad would always tell me. And you can actually learn how many Pomodoro sessions you need to complete a certain task, which can help you plan more accurately. Reduce burnout. It helps to reduce burnout by incorporating regular breaks into your schedule, because burnout happens as well. It's a physical and emotional sense of exhaustion, which I do not wish anyone to experience, but it's a really hard thing to go through. And again, as I said, speaking to people who I've worked with and people who've experienced it, it's really about making sure you're having breaks as well and going and seeking medical advice if needed. Improve mental and physical health as well. So it can help you feel better mentally, more confident, more ready, and physically during the workday by allowing you to stand and walk around as well, because during those 5-10 minute breaks you can stretch your legs out. I know that for people, and if you look at the study of ergonomics as well, people who are sat down at a desk can often experience back pain. So if you can just get up, stand up, walk around, go for a walk. I don't know if you're obviously in an office or if you're at home, walk around your house. If you have a garden, walk around the garden, go on a short walk, and that's the way you can use your 5-10 minute break as well. And you know what, it's easier to get started. It's so much easier to get started because it gives you permission to take short breaks and you don't feel guilty. Whereas if you're studying for an hour and you're like, oh, taking a break, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But because it's part of the structure, again, going back to infrastructure and the benefit of infrastructure for students, especially studying techniques and methods, it really helps you as well because you're taking breaks every 25 minutes and you're actually looking forward to it. And finally, better time estimation. So you can learn how long certain activities take you to complete, which can help you avoid over or underestimating your time. And indeed, if you are interested in actually trying out the Pomodoro method or technique, then please do head to Life At. This is not sponsored, but it's a website that I really find valuable. And also I use an app called Tick as well, which I believe has the Pomodoro technique embedded, as well as the Eisenhower matrix, which we'll cover probably on another episode. So yeah, I just want to also talk about the next one, which is utilizing active recall and the call now method. So actually, I'm really happy again about this because we actually sell resources. So which I'll talk to you about shortly in a bit more depth. So when studying, use active recall to reinforce your learning. Test yourself on the material rather than just reading it. Pair this with the call now method for note taking. So active recall is a way of initially taking in and regurgitating information, whereas the call now method is for note taking, writing down what you just regurgitated and what you articulated, where you divide your page into summaries, key points and questions, making your review process more effective. Now, if you struggle with dividing your page, some people prefer to actually purchase the call now method book already pre-structured. We do sell those, so head to amazon.co.uk and type in Faith Brynels Insights, Faith Brynels, and then Insights, Faith Brynels Insights, and you will find our resources, or alternatively you can head to Etsy as well, and some of the books are on there. Also, as I said, we do study aids and study worksheets under Faith B Design Studio, which has a separate Instagram and TikTok account. And these are study aids and study worksheets created actually in mind with Skill for Study, looking at kind of exam prep sheets, etc., sold via Etsy exclusively. So you can head to Faith B Design Studio to have a look at those as well. So I just want to really share a personal journey. As I said, I came across study skills when I was at International High School for Girls. I'm glad I went because it was a good opportunity. Yes, we have challenges. I had challenges of bullying. I had challenges of, self-confidence development. But it was a great opportunity to actually learn about skills for study, and that's just a method that's come through. But yes, so skills for study is when I learned about it there, and it was a good opportunity to learn about how to actually intake information. And so as I said, I didn't start off being so aware of skills for study, but it's something I've actually learned to incorporate even in my own studies, having graduated from King's College London, which again has its own challenges, but I'm able then to give that back and to share those tips with other people. So shortly after this podcast episode, ironically, I'm going to be recording a video for my Work and Study Smarter series, and bringing back that Work and Study Smarter series and talking about different study skills and talking about kind of other things as well, which I'll plan and release shortly. So I want to just kind of outline that growth isn't always linear. It's okay to have setbacks, but what matters is how you bounce back and continue moving forward. And I'll just be honest. When I was being bullied, I never really saw myself doing this. In fact, I was very low in self-confidence. I wasn't confident at all. And I think what's important about yourself, be honest with yourself. Don't beat yourself. I'm not ashamed to have been bullied because I was able to stand up for myself, and the Lord has rebuilt my confidence brick by brick, and I'm now able to inspire and help other people. So don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed of what you've gone through. I just want to really emphasize that. Don't be ashamed of what you've gone through. It is really important because what you've gone through helps to shape your narrative. It helps you to look back, and it actually helps you. It doesn't define you, but it helps you to help other people. And I think that's really important as well. Because if I hadn't been bullied, I wouldn't have been able to deliver a workshop to those who had been bullied and who were currently being bullied about anti-bullying. And even when we are looking forward to anti-bullying week, I will have a lot of content talking about that as well, and really about the importance of voicing what's going on. Because when I was being bullied, I told my parents, and they were able to get things sorted for me, speak to the relevant staff and students, and by actually going into school and talking to the relevant teams as well. So let's kind of finish off with segment 5. Faith Brynels Insights, resources and next steps. I want to leave you with this. As I said, you have more power than you realise. Whether you're a student trying to navigate academic pressure or someone in the workforce managing career challenges, a growth mindset will undoubtedly help you see the potential in every experience. If you're interested in diving deeper into these topics, as I said before, we have a range of resources here at Faith Brynels Insights to support you and aid you on your journey, from workshops, and indeed we are actually building mental health workshops and study skills to create the content that tackles stress, personal growth and more. So you can follow us at Faith B Insights on all social platforms, or at Faith B Design Studio for the study aids. The podcast here we're recording is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube as well. Follow us on YouTube at Faith Brynels Insights, because on the YouTube you'll see me. Yay. And also we run events. We stream all of our events through our YouTube channel, and I'll be advertising the resources, speaking a little bit more about kind of personal growth and development as well. And as I said, our website's kind of been developed, but you've got our YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions, if you need support, or want to share your own journey with us. So yes, that's it for today's episode of Faith Brynels Insights, the podcast. If you've enjoyed this discussion, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need a little extra encouragement. As I said, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where we share more tips, insights, and resources. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, you have the power to grow and thrive one step at a time. Thanks all, and without further ado, this is your host, Faith Brynels. I'm signing off. Bye everyone.